getting open, we should be able to do. Okay, I will get back to you tomorrow then.
Hey,
Okay.
how are you guys doing?
Doing alright.
I'm here because I have a petition going on and I was hoping you would sign it.
What is it for?
Well,
It's
the
built-
petition is basically saying that people should not be arbitrarily arrested.
Thank you.
To do what?
People should not be arbitrarily arrested.
Share the what?
No, people should not be arbitrarily arrested. And they should be read their Miranda rights when they are being arrested. Would you be able to sign it? I believe you're going to be number 79, yes. But I have a question for you.
Yes.
What do you think of internet research?
What do I think? What do I think about the research?
Internet research.
Internet research?
Yes. I used to work for IT before, and I always said that internet research was being monitored.
Internet research. Well, honestly, I don't even know. Like, is that question could really be asked with anything, to be quite honest.
I beg your pardon?
So, you're asking what do I feel about internet research? Is it being monitored?
Yes.
I mean, everything's being monitored though, but it's all part of the actual Constitution itself for those free. In a sense, I'm not saying that what they're doing is just, but I'm saying they could justify it to an extent depending on how you read the Constitution itself. Given the fact that we do have the right to be protected under the government. Of course, they can't infringe upon our individual rights, but the actual span of our rights is what comes into question. For instance, we have freedom of speech, but we can't necessarily we can blasphemize presidencies, things of that nature, other people, but even then that has some constraints depending on who you blasphemize. Like if you, let's use police officers, if you talk incorrectly around a police officer, just seeming like you're being arrested in that nature, you're seen as a threat, therefore they can infringe upon freedom of speech because it seems as if you're being threatening, which isn't keeping you nor themselves nor the people around you safe. Therefore they can infringe upon freedom of speech through that. Which comes like, that's how internet monitoring can works. It's like if you're consistently searching for certain types of things that don't seem like it would be safe for other people, and it's not just for like research purposes. Let's say like out of my own free time, I'm just searching what's the best way to dispose of a body, and I've been doing this for years on end, and somebody finds out about that, even though it's my right as a human being to do as I wish, within the scope of capitalism and of democracy, that's seen as a threat that shouldn't go unchecked by the pretty much by democracy. I'm not saying that's what I personally believe, but democracy itself, socialism, capitalism, and communism.
But don't you think that's the reason why we should have not a real discussion about race, in the sense that we are treating foreigners differently than like U.S.-born citizens for saying things which U.S. citizens would not be arrested for?
And that's very true. But at the same time, that works in any concept whatsoever. There might be some foreign countries that may be more accepting of foreigners, but they still have wary because you don't know what a foreigner will do. You have your steal.
But would you say that it's both unconstitutional to be stealing people's property?
In what way?
Like your car should not be taken.
Your what?
Like cars should not be stolen.
I mean, it wouldn't be necessarily unconstitutional. It's unjust, but it's not unconstitutional.
Would you not say that's a Fourth Amendment violation?
How so?
Well, your car is being stolen, and so like it's basically like your property which is being taken against your will.
But is it being stolen by a commoner or being stolen by the government?
Well, no matter who's taking it, like, isn't that a Fourth Amendment violation?
It could be seen as such, but it's still, at least in my personal opinion, would be necessarily unconstitutional, because that would be the same thing as me saying you stole my pen, therefore you're going against my Fourth Amendment right, which is quite true, if you want to word it that way. Of course, as humans, we all have our definitions of things. We have our ranges. If you take a pencil, I'm not going to bring you to court for taking a pencil. If you steal a car, I might bring you to court. But I could take you to court for taking a pencil, because it's the same thing as my property. So it's like it all depends on how you treat things. You're gonna treat it equally or treat it differently, which is a lot of people's problems. Like we think, for instance, like you're saying, you treat foreigners differently. Let's treat each other differently. And in your country, in America, we might look at other Americans and they're, like this whole thing with race. Oh, they're this race or that race, they're this person, they're from this city, from that. You'll treat them differently as you'll treat a foreigner because you have your stereotypes. French people are this, Africans are this, Germans are this. Just like in other countries, French people think Americans are a certain way, Canadians are a certain way, Africans are a certain way. We all have our stereotypes. Therefore, we have our ranges. Like, oh, it might be cool to say, oh, that this African American is this way, but it might not be cool to say the same thing about a legitimate African. Things of that nature. We all have our ranges on which we're willing to act about it. So as a race, being human beings in general, we have to decide to have one definition, pretty much being you take this pencil and bring it to court, just like if you take my car, or we continue on our stereotypical ways of I'll choose which one is technically infringing upon my constitutional rights.
Well, would you not say that people are being dragged to court on trumped up charges, though? It's not like you are taking people to court. It's like trumped up charges are being levied upon minorities, and there's a difference. Like one has got to make in that.
Right, there it is. And we are being on top of the charges, but that just happened in the noble construct. Oh, this person took my book. I never touched your book, but you're just assuming that. You're technically putting on a chopped up charge that I never committed. And it's not necessarily because of my race per se, but it happens on an everyday thing. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that the justice system reflects society itself. So to change the justice system would do nothing if society stays the same.
And why is society staying the same?
It's because that's the human way. Once you find something that works, you go with it. Once we found out, okay, we can eat by killing other animals, we ate by killing other animals. We didn't change that. We still do it. Once we found out, okay, using a phone is much easier than sending letters, we still use phones. That never died out. That's why letters are dying out. Once we find...
But don't you think that's a shame, though? Like, we should be corresponding more?
It could be a shame, but it's just how it's going to work out. We're going to continue to move to a technology-based world simply because it's more efficient. Once we find something that works out better than what it used to work out, regardless of the actual implications or consequences, we're going to do it. That's how humans work. That's why we have wars. That's why we do things. We do things based on situation. If I feel as though going to war right now would be better because then I don't have to worry about my country being sucky or I get more funds or I don't have to worry about the people complaining about this problem, I'm going to do it with the consequence because it seems to be the best option. I mean, it doesn't mean it's right or wrong or not a shame or a shame. It's just how it works out.
But then again, like, how are you defining terrorism nowadays from the IT department?
Terrorism doesn't even have a definition. That's the same thing as asking how do you define love. You don't have a definition. You just pretty much go what you want to say. Oh, terrorism is the harmful use of computer programming and like that to access other people's information, steal information, and cause harm. Or terrorism is you looking at my computer over my shoulder. I mean, it all depends on how you want to define it, how sensitive you are to the subject itself.
And how are you defining it?
I don't. I personally don't define terrorism.
You don't?
No, I don't think there's a definition with it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying there's no definition to place upon it.
Do you not think my conventional definition is the appropriate definition?
No. That's like saying the conventional definition of what a race is the appropriate definition of what a race is, because I don't believe in race to begin with, but that's not the point. If you just go by that's why society actually stays the same, because we go by conventional definitions. So long as we keep going by conventional definitions, we can't change because we're all thinking of one mind.
It was nice talking to you.
It's nice talking to you as well.
I'm asking questions. Excuse me. Would you be willing to sign my petition?
What is it? What is the petition?
And the petition is basically saying that foreigners should be treated the same way U.S. citizens are being treated, in the sense that they should not be arbitrarily arrested and their property should not be stolen.
So, wait, I heard everything, but you said that they should be treated the same and that their property should be stolen.
Yes.
Yeah, can I read it?
Yes, yes.
Are you ready for that quote?
Yeah, yes.
I'm saying this because I was arbitrarily arrested on a few occasions and my Miranda rights were not being read. And so since then, I've created a petition basically saying that...
Give me 1 second. I need to talk to Dr. Goodell. Dr. Morgan.
What's going on?
Nothing much. How you doing?
You need me?
Nah, that's much better.
Hey.
You already see our check.
Right.
There's my check.
Yeah. We need our Howard check.
Oh, working it.
Yeah, huh?
Okay, you come back and help me class? We have a job for you. I just got an email from Sterling Canada.
Come on. That's why I was coming at 30. Yeah.
From who?
Care person, federal employee operations.
Full-time, salary.
Where, in DC?
Yeah, it's like around the plus size area.
I talked to somebody who was kind of interning part-time there.
Yeah, but see, the summer I told my missed it, so the summer I was on my back, so that didn't work. So I just started walking like 2 weeks ago.
You stopped there already?
Nah, I started on the 8th.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you.
Well, no, I knew I had the dollar most of the summer, so I was like working with the government and staff and all that.
No.
And, you know, I think I like this. Like, I just can't put it in my Yeah, they told me came to the room. I was gonna come, but I had the government.
Oh, you did? Okay, you know, that was.
6:30.